Thank you to all of those who came to the Nats Chat Hangout at Walters. Stay tuned for details on the end of season party we'll hold there in October. Walters is the official sports bar of the Nats Chat podcast, located across the street from the ballpark.
Here's the set. Rhythmic applause, the pitch. Swinging a hard line drive, a base hit. Down the right field line, past the first baseman. Devers diving for it. Wood heading for second to throw high, but backed up by Chapman in line for it toward third. Scoring from third, Adams. Scoring from second, Dale and Lyle. On a line drive double past the diving Devers at first. And the Nationals are on the board here with 2 out of the top of the second inning. James Wood's 24th double of the year. RBI 74 and 75. It's the Nationals 2 and the Giants nothing.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. The left-hander winds, kicks, fires. Swing and a miss. He struck him out on a slider. Gore has 10 strikeouts in 6 shutout innings. His 3rd double-digit strikeout game this year, and the 10th of his big league career. Terrific performance, a bounce-back performance for MacKenzie Gore here in San Francisco.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Oracle Park in San Francisco. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. You perhaps are familiar with the phrase, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. Well, 2 Nats players who had been cold, left fielder James Wood and starting pitcher MacKenzie Gore, they this summer may have gotten hot by going to San Francisco. Sunday, an 8-0 Nats win at the San Francisco Giants to win 2 out of 3 games in the series. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season improved to 47 and 70. James Wood, another terrific game. MacKenzie Gore, a dominant outing to snap a 4-start slump. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. So the Nats went from getting shut out at the Giants 5-0 late night on Friday night to winning each of the final 2 games in this series. An outstanding offensive performance on Sunday. 8 runs, 17 hits, 1 walk, 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The 17 hits, a homer, 4 doubles, and 12 singles. Mark, the Nats offense came alive over these last 2 games.
They did. They did it on Sunday against a future Hall of Famer. I know Justin Verlander isn't really the Hall of Fame version of himself at this stage at age 42, but he still has a presence when he takes the mound. And a lot of these young guys were thrilled just to have the chance to be on a field with him. And it was only 4 runs on Saturday, but much better quality at bats. You saw the power that came from that as well with the 3 homers. And it was just nice to see finally the best version of this team. We know they have their flaws. We know this is not a good team, but we also know they aren't as bad as they had looked there for long stretches this summer. And what you saw this weekend, and I think especially on Sunday, was really the best version of them, what that can look like, how it can be successful. It starts with MacKenzie Gore being at his peak version on the mound and James Wood being at his best at the plate. Those 2 are in top form. It trickles down to everybody else. It was just nice and refreshing to see that. It's been a long time coming for both guys and for this team.
It is amazing when James Wood is going, this offense can get going. And when James Wood is not going, this offense has very little chance to get going. And James Wood in this series got going again. We'll see what it means moving forward. But credit to interim manager Miguel Cairo. A whole lot of lineup shuffling in this series, including having Wood in that number 1 spot in each of the 3 games. He was a starting left fielder and number 1 batter for each game in this series. And he capped a terrific series with what he did on Sunday. Wood 2 for 5 with 2 2-run doubles. Now, he did strike out 3 more times, but we can forgive that. Wood in a Nats 4-run second, a 2-out full count, 2-run double down the right field line for a 2-0 Nats lead. Wood in a Nats 2-run seventh, a 2-out opposite field 2-run double to the left center field gap for an 8-0 Nats lead. So you look at what he did in this series. The 5-0 loss late night on Friday night, 1 for 4 with a double. The 4-2 win on Saturday, 2 for 5 with a solo homer and an RBI double. And then this 8-0 win on Sunday, 2 for 5 with 2 2-run doubles. A lot of extra base hits going the opposite way. We're still not seeing a lot of walks. He still is striking out a ton, but man, the power was back in effect for James Wood here.
Yeah, the good news is here is when he's making contact, he's hitting the ball the way you expect him to on a line, usually to the opposite field. It's just a matter of when he's not making contact. And that really, if he just laid off those pitches, it's a lot of breaking balls, changeups, stuff below the knees. That's the next step for him now. If he lays off those, he's going to draw the walks. The strikeouts are going to cut down, and then combine that with the good solid contact. But when he hit the ball this weekend, he hit it with authority. Again, even the outs he made were well struck. So definitely a turn in the right direction for him. And what I loved in this one is these weren't meaningless hits. These were impactful hits within the course of the game, especially the first double. They've got second and third, nobody out here in the second inning in a scoreless game. Chance to do something to Verlander, get the lead, hand the ball to MacKenzie Gore with a lead. And then they almost blow it. Brady House strikes out. Jacob Young grounds right into the second baseman, the drawn in infield. And now Wood has to come through with 2 outs. So he does that, the big double, driving into C.J. Abrams follows with the home run. So meaningful clutch hit for him there. The other double later in the game, another 2-out, 2-run double. So yes, in a broad spectrum, you want him getting back on track as far as the good quality contact again. But even more than that, you want it to be meaningful, happening in moments of significance. That's what he did in this game.
Yeah, I mentioned the Nats going 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position on Sunday. That contrasts quite nicely with the Nats in the 4-2 win on Saturday, going just 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. We mentioned this on the last installment of the podcast. The Nats on Saturday, 11 hits, 3 walks, really should have scored much more than just the 4 runs, but struggled with runners in scoring position, but a lot better in that regard on Sunday. And, you take a step back, you look at the last 2 games, 28 hits by the Nats over the last 2 games in this series. Like I said, the offense really got going. More on the offense in a bit, but the other headline item from this game clearly was MacKenzie Gore. He had not been pitching well, as we had discussed. Since the All-Star game, he had been a bad starting pitcher. Well, he on Sunday was back to being an excellent starting pitcher. 6 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts versus 1 walk. So not only was the run prevention back to where you want it to be, but the strikeouts were back. We had lamented the loss, the disappearance of the strikeout from MacKenzie Gore during this 4-start slump. 10 strikeouts in 6 shutout innings on Sunday. He only gave up 3 hits, all of which were singles, and he threw a ton of strikes. 96 pitches, 67 strikes, 29 balls. Like this to a T was the MacKenzie Gore who we had been wanting to see and who we saw so often in the lead up to the All-Star game.
100%. He needed this one in the worst way. And to flip that switch and get back into the best version of himself was such a big deal for him and for this team. He talked about some adjustments. He didn't go into a lot of detail about what he did, but he did admit that he did some things.
Delivery-wise, just kind of getting back to where we should be. And
I think reading between the lines, there's probably a mechanical adjustment in some way to try to avoid just leaving those pitches over the plate the way that he was in the last start. And the other thing was, I think he did try to mix up his usage a little bit more. You saw right off the bat, I think it was first pitch of the game to Ramos, gives up a single on a fastball. And we saw that the last time out. First inning, they were all over him, jumping on the first pitch to get him. And what he started to do after that, he started throwing first pitch breaking balls, changeups. Used the fastball later in the count when he needed it, but a little less predictable, and ultimately used all 4 of his pitches to get those 10 strikeouts. So I think there was a conscious effort there to not just go about it the way that he had in the past, make the Giants uncomfortable by not knowing what was going to be coming at them in any particular count. He's got the stuff. He's not just a fastball guy or just a curveball guy. He can strike guys out with any of those pitches. And I think he sort of remembered that in this game and used it all to help him go along the way to get the 10 strikeouts.
And we know how he is. He puts a lot of pressure on himself. He's a very cerebral pitcher. He puts a lot of thought into what he does. I think we all kind of expected, okay, this funk he was in, it's not going to keep on going. Like, he's going to find a way out of it. But it was disturbing how ugly some of these starts were. Like, these weren't just starts in which he was a little off. He got rocked in a decent chunk of these starts during that slump. And like you said, he flipped the switch. Like, he wasn't just better on Sunday. He was great on Sunday. He was like an A-plus pitcher on Sunday. It was so good to see that. And hopefully more of that is to come. Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. Summer is starting to wind down in the DMV. Your air conditioning is working overtime, just trying to keep your house and you cool and comfortable. What can you do to make a difference? Well, you can replace your old or builder-grade windows with windows from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the following deal that you're about to hear about here on the Nats Chat podcast. This month only, you can schedule a consult and get 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could even get your windows with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. Window Nation windows are outstanding. They are custom made from high quality materials with precision fit. Bottom line, your home stays comfortable year round. Window Nation windows are even available in over 1,500 styles and colors. So you'll get the windows that you want to protect and beautify your home. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and over 3 million windows installed, you can trust Window Nation for quality and service. Hurry! This 50% off all windows sale ends August 31st. So don't miss out. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. Schedule your estimate and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Now the pitch. Swing by Abrams and a long drive to right. This is way back. This ball is going, and it is gone. Goodbye. A home run for C.J. Abrams on an 0-2 pitch. A slider right down the middle, and he tattoos it off the landing into the seats for the fans, and it dropped back down out of the field. Bang, zoom goes C.J. Abrams with his 15th home run of the year. RBIs 44 and 45, and it's a 4-run frame for the Nationals. It's the Nationals 4, the Giants nothing.
So with the Nats offense, we talked about James Wood. We talked about the overall performance. There were so many other good performances from the Nats offensively in this game on Sunday. We had C.J. Abrams homering. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 2 batter, 2 for 5 with a 2-run homer and a single. Abrams in the Nats 4-run second, a 2-out 2-run homer to right field on an 0-2 pitch for a 4-0 Nats lead. Dalen Lyle, he on Sunday as the Nats starting right fielder and number 7 batter, 2 for 5 with a double and a single. Dalen Lyle for this month of August now has an OPS of 831. So as we pay attention, especially to these young Nats players, Dalen Lyle, a guy who is coming on here. And then there's Josh Bell. We know the deal, right? Veteran, 1-year contract, wasn't traded prior to the trade deadline. But man, is he hot over these last 2 games, and is he especially hot when you take a step back and you look at what he's done since the start of July. So Bell in the 4-2 win on Saturday, 2 for 3, solo homer, double, and a walk. Bell in this 8-0 win on Sunday as the Nats starting DH and number 3 batter, 3 for 4 with a double, 2 singles, and a walk. His OPS for this regular season is up to 731, was at 640 as of the end of June. That is something, man, that he has fixed the OPS to where he's got that bad boy up to 731 at this point.
You know, the Major League average OPS, Al, is 717. That means Josh Bell is officially having an above average season. You certainly saw that one coming, right?
I don't think any of us saw it coming. I want to wait to see what the OPS plus is. I want to see what the park adjustments and league adjustments are.
It was at 105 coming into the day. So he was above average even with the adjustments. I thought the same thing and looked it up, and it'll go probably even more off this game on Sunday. It's been really nice to see him do this. He feels a whole lot better. Obviously, he joked, a couple weeks ago about the drive for 7 to get the OPS up in the 7s. He joked after this one about, hey, there's still time to get to 8. He's shooting for 800 before season's end, and good for him if he can somehow pull that off. Now, you would love for it to have, come distributed a little more evenly over the course of the season when it might have made more difference when the team needed it. But I mean, for a guy who, deep down might have been questioning where his career was headed after this if he kept it up as ugly as it was for much of the first half, he may be salvaging a lot for himself with the way that he's done this. And I know you can look back and say, oh, well, hey, the early season slump is what he always does. I think it was more than that in this case. We talked about how he went into the year with this idea of, I'm going to focus on power more. That's what it's all about now. There were good intentions behind it. It clearly didn't work. His swing looked awful. And he finally made that decision. No, I'm going back to just trying to hit the ball hard. Don't worry about launch angle. If I hit doubles, that's fine. Doesn't have to be home runs. And he's been a completely different hitter since then. And if he keeps that mindset and goes into the winter and into next season and takes that approach, maybe he can still be an effective big league hitter, wherever he ends up playing. You'd love for a big guy like that to hit 30 homers, but maybe that's just not who he is. Maybe he's a 20 homer guy who also hits a lot of doubles. I mean, he got on base in this series in 9 of his 12 plate appearances. So it's not just a couple of big hits. This was sustained production, drawing walks as well. It was really nice to see that from him.
He's doing so much better. It's a weird deal because he was really good over the final 2 games of this series. Paul DeJong was really good over the final 2 games of this series. DeJong on Sunday as the Nats starting second baseman and cleanup batter, 3 for 5 with 2 RBI singles and another single. But, you watch Bell and DeJong, and I feel like you have conflicting feelings because, okay, it's swell what they're doing, but it's like it doesn't mean anything. It's not taking you anywhere. Both guys are almost certainly gone at the end of this season. But I guess you say better that they do well than they not do well. Luis Garcia Jr. did not play at all in this series due to the back. Do you think he's headed to the 10-day injured list?
I don't. I talked to him before the game. He said he's feeling a whole lot better than he was on Friday. And he actually was out there taking grounders at second base before the game. It was interesting. Miguel Cairo was out there with a glove, a former second baseman himself, kind of showing him how to do it. I thought that was interesting, both in the fact that Garcia is feeling well enough to do that, but also here's a very hands-on Miguel Cairo trying to help a guy who, as we know, has struggled so much in the field. A little firsthand one-on-one tutorial out there. So I'm going to guess we see Garcia in the lineup on Monday, although I think they're facing a lefty and Bailey Falter, so maybe they give him one more day and then we see him on Tuesday. But it looks like the signs are good as far as the back is concerned.
Now the set by Beater. And the pitch, swing and a pop-up by Flores, playable, low in from first, down the line. Adams, the catcher, there they collide, and Adams has the ball, I believe. Well, Adams was calling for it all the way, and then Lowe came in from behind him, bumped him, and they both went down, and that's how this game ends. A Curly W in the books as Riley Adams holds on, being bumped and knocked down by Nathaniel Lowe. And the Nationals shut out the Giants in San Francisco 8-0.
And the Nats bullpen ended up doing pretty well in this series and certainly did well in this 8-0 win at the Giants on Sunday. 3 Nats relievers combined for 3 perfect innings. Hard to do better than that. Cole Henry tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th with 2 strikeouts. P.J. Poulin, a perfect bottom of the 8th with 2 swinging strikeouts. And Clayton Beeter tossed a perfect bottom of the 9th inning. You look at Nats relievers in this series. Game 1, 1 run, 2 2/3 innings. Okay, Game 2, 1 run in 3 innings. And Game 3, 3 perfect innings. So good. And, to get a series win, I mean, at this point, this team, this fan base is starved for wins. So any series win is great. The Giants are not a great team, but a pretty good team. So to win 2 out of 3 games at the Giants, that's a respectful thing to do. And maybe, just maybe, you can feel a little bit better about things as the season goes on here. The homestand that the Nats are coming off of was a disaster, as we talked about, but you win 2 out of 3 at the Giants. Next up is a 3-game series at a Kansas City Royals team that is under 500, so that's a beatable team. You'd like to think that's a series the Nats could win. Who knows? But, let's see here. I mean, there's no reason for this season to get as ugly as it had gotten. We get it. It's a lost season from a 1-loss record standpoint, but man, you don't have to keep getting destroyed like this team was getting destroyed. So good on the Nats for winning this series. You look at the 3-game set at the Royals. Game 1, Monday night, 7:40, Cade Cavalli will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Tuesday night, 7:40, Mitchell Parker will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3, Wednesday afternoon, 2:10, Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. And certainly all eyes Monday night on Cade Cavalli. How does he do off that very encouraging outing he had in his return to the majors?
Yeah, it's like all the hype and the anticipation of his return after all that time is now over, and he can go out and just be a big league pitcher every 5 days, which is what we've all been wanting and waiting for so long. So I'm very interested to see how he handles that. It turns out that they maybe set this up well for him. First game against the A's, next one against the Royals. You never assume anything, but, hopefully it's a somewhat favorable matchup for him. I'm excited to see what the stuff looks like. I'm excited to see the stamina, how far he can go in the game, and the composure that he can keep. That was such a pick-me-up from him last week when he did that. And you would love, on the heels of a Brad Lord excellent start and a MacKenzie Gore dominant start, if they could get 3 in a row from 3 young building blocks, that would be such an important thing for them as we look to what the rest of the season is going to be. That's what matters. Brad Lord, important. MacKenzie Gore getting himself back on track, important. And Cade Cavalli, tremendously important for them, for him to, show us enough to say, yes, he is really a part of this moving forward. I mean, fantastic if he looks like he might be a frontline guy, but just forget that even for the moment. Does he just look like a big league pitcher for them? Because we don't even know that yet. The first signs we got last week, fantastic. Let's see how it now looks in the second start.
And regarding outfielder Dylan Cruz being activated off the 60-day injured list as he recovers from the left oblique strain, feeling like he's not back for this series at the Royals and perhaps is back for the homestand afterwards?
I'm not making a prediction on this. He played 9 innings Saturday and Sunday. So he's done that now back-to-back days. He went 0 for 4, but he had a diving catch in right field. As far as I can tell, he has done everything that he needs to do. I think now it's a matter of, are you going to fly him from Norfolk to Kansas City to play in this series, not give him any kind of day off because he just played a bunch of games in a row, I think every game this week, maybe with the exception of a day that he DH'd. So are you going to put that on him, or are you going to say, take Monday off like they do in the minor leagues, maybe play Tuesday, fly to DC Wednesday and be ready to go Thursday? That's possible. It wouldn't shock me if we see him in Kansas City, although I will say it didn't appear in the clubhouse after the game Sunday like they were making any moves. I don't think they let anybody know they were going down. Doesn't mean they couldn't do that after they get to Kansas City. So I would say it's still kind of murky about what they're doing here, but maybe we see him Monday, but at worst, barring some kind of major setback, I do believe we will see him Thursday when they get home at the absolute latest.
And I did want to note this. So the Nats on Sunday hammered Giants starting pitcher Justin Verlander. And this is age 42 season. Verlander allowed 5 runs in 5 innings. He gave up 11 hits, did have 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk, but he's not having a good season. It's a second consecutive bad season. You have to wonder if this is it for Verlander. Obviously, he has had a career that will land him in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And, I was thinking about this. You have really the 3 elite level starting pitchers of this era in Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, and Clayton Kershaw. And all 3 guys are fading. And we're seeing all 3 guys wind down their careers. And it's kind of sad on the one hand. On the other hand, it does offer an opportunity for appreciation of these guys. I feel like every generation has that, a power trio of starting pitchers. Like the previous generation, you had Greg Maddux, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez. After that, you get Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw. And I wonder if we're going to get that moving forward, or if the state of starting pitching is such that the days of having, like a power trio of 3 elite guys, or just, superstar starting pitchers, period, if those days are, if not done, then winding down. I get it. There still are some great starting pitchers in the majors, a Tarek Skubal, etc. But are you going to have anything like this again? A Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer trio like we've had for a decade plus? And I don't know what the answer is to that. Certainly the state of starting pitching, I think, leaves it far from a certainty that we continue to get that kind of a thing.
I have my doubts that it's going to happen again. And the reason is, I think there are plenty of guys, Skubal's a good example of it right now, Paul Skeens. I think there are guys who have the ability to dominate the way that these did, over the last decade plus. What you just don't know if it's going to happen anymore is the longevity. All 3 of those guys have pitched at least 18 seasons in the big leagues. That's a remarkable thing. And I know they've had some injuries along the way, especially more recently, but that's basically 2 decades of pitching where the standard for all of them was to go 200 innings or at least approach it and pitch at an incredibly high level. And by the way, pitch into the postseason as well for a lot of those seasons. I don't know that the next generation of pitchers has been built to do that or is going to hold up physically to be able to do that. You hope. I would love to see Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal having this same kind of conversation about them 15 years from now. But the more recent track record suggests that most of them are going to get hurt or at least fade along the way in a way that Kershaw, Scherzer, and Verlander really haven't until the very end of their careers. All these guys were still really good well into their 30s. I hope it's true that others can do it, but I have my doubts, and I would not be surprised if that is truly the last generation of the dominant workhorse starting pitcher who doesn't just do it for 8 to 10 years, but does it for 15 to 18 years. That's a remarkable thing.
It is. And if you look at career wins above replacement per Baseball Reference, and this is just for the regular season, this does not count the postseason in which Justin Verlander has had a whole lot of success. Verlander 80.9, Kershaw 77.7, Scherzer 75.0. So they're very close in that regard. But WAR, as we know, it's not just about how good you are, it's about volume of work. And these guys have accumulated a volume of work to where they have career WARs that are so high. All three we know will be inducted into the Hall of Fame at one point. Yeah, it does kind of feel like the end of an era watching Verlander and Kershaw and Scherzer. And, this may well have been the last time the Nats ever faced Verlander. And if it is, the Nats did quite well against Verlander in this win on Sunday. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website you can check out too, natschatpodcast.com, in which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Adams at second, Young at first. Here it comes. Swing a line drive, left center field. That's a base hit up the gap. Adams will score. The ball rolls all the way to the wall. Young is scampering around third, and he will score. And James Wood is at second with a 2-run double. It's the Nationals 8 and the Giants nothing. All 8 runs today have been scored with 2 outs, and James Wood has driven in half of them. 2 doubles, 4 RBIs for James Wood.